No one usually sits right here in front. And in your concerts, these are the expensive seats. They were cheap. Okay, the enrollment report, and let's see, we're going to be talking briefly about the freshman class. We're going to talk briefly about the sources of our students, where they come from, both in the academies and then some internal information in our systems here at PUC. We're going to talk about how the academy enrollment is behaving and our freshman class again, and we're going to talk about the competition briefly with some information from the National Student Clearinghouse. This chart looks at our freshman class, which is the top line, which you see a curve in it, and it dropped back down this fall. The middle section is, here we go. The middle section here is our sophomore, junior, and senior enrollment running between 200 and 300 from year to year. And our freshman class up here, which peaked above 500, held there for a while and came back down. Our freshman class, to accomplish the enrollment goals that we're after here at PUC, has to stay above 500 year after year after year. It has to keep growing above that. But it's got to stay 525, 550 year after year to get our enrollment climbing where we want it to go. And we've dropped down a little bit. What can we do about that? I'm glad you asked. Before we get to what we can do, I want to talk a little bit about where the names come from for our prospects and our applicants here at PUC. And I mentioned this a couple months ago, that we process over 5,000 names to get a freshman class of around 500 students. As a matter of fact, this year, our total names for fall 2012 was over 5,700 names, and our actual yield when looking at people classified as freshmen on campus is around 8%. That needs to be above 10%. And the source of the names says a lot about what the odds are of them coming to PUC. If you came on a campus visit, there's a 16% chance that you're going to matriculate to PUC. The details in here, a lot of the things that PUC enrollment services do run in the 10 to 15% chance of matriculation to PUC, and make a real difference. Down here, our national tour gives us a handful of students, a few unknown, people who turn in FAFSAs right here. We've never heard of them at all. Their name is completely foreign to PUC. They fill out their FAFSA and say, send a copy to PUC. We work backwards from that data, contact them, find out about them, and some of them matriculate to PUC. Our website generates hundreds of prospects and people matriculate that we first heard about on the web. This information and these sources is the first place that we get a name. It doesn't mean they're in or out of an Adventist academy, but it's the first place that we get a name and log it into our system. And so the chances of their matriculating to PUC. Many of these names are in our Adventist academies. And I wanted to remind you, pick your favorite school here. We have academies in Northern California, Central California, Southern, and Southeastern. And our enrollment counselors are on these campuses several times a year. And of our, let me get this right, of our current 462 freshmen on campus, students classified as freshmen with less than 45 units, 266 of them are from an Adventist academy for 57%. These schools are our bread and butter. The schools across the nation that we visit in a national tour program also feed us students from across the nation, but the vast majority of our students are still west of the Rockies. These schools feed PUC. And each of your departments can work with enrollment services in making a difference on a lot of these campuses. That if just the enrollment counselors are going out, talking, visiting, talking about PUC, that'll have an impact. But when we do a music tour, it makes a difference. When we have athletic activities like the basketball that we had on campus, won by a school from Oregon, which is fantastic, it makes a difference. And right now, our senior count from these academies has dropped a little bit. And that's part of the reason our freshman class is a little smaller. But our percentage matriculation from the academies in the Pacific Union has dropped a little bit. Unfortunately, it's dropped more in Northern California than it has in Southern California. And that's the top line on this chart. And we're working very hard to get it back up. We're working hard on the contact with the kids. But one of the big differences that we can make as a campus is our contact with the decision makers on those campuses. How is PUC doing value-added things for an academy? Here's some ideas. We have music tours. We have a bus. We have athletic activities. We have another bus. And there are other things that your department might think about doing. Are there value-added things, programming, brief one-day type things that PUC can make a difference in regional Adventist academies? That the faculty on those campuses, the principal on those campuses are saying, with that major, you ought to be going to PUC. That's the kind of thing that can start bumping up some of the enrollment in our region, and we can use your help on that. Next, who's the competition? This data is from the National Student Clearinghouse, and this has to do with names of people who were accepted for fall 2012 and did not come to PUC. We submitted 571 names to the Clearinghouse. They reported back to us, and 83% of those students are enrolled in a college. 53% in an Adventist campus, not PUC. We know in enrollment service that more and more families are applying to more and more colleges. It's not unusual now for families to apply to 4, 5, 6 schools. And the colleges know that this is diluting the numbers for everybody. You don't know often until very late in the cycle what school they're settling on. And you see that with, did they pay a room deposit? Did they register for classes? But they're looking to get admission at multiple campuses. They're looking for the best messaging they can get on a financial plan at a campus that's in competition with PUC. So then, of the other campuses, you can see our direct competition. The highest one is La Sierra. Walla Walla after that, Southern, and then it drops away pretty quickly after that across the other campuses. And we can keep working on this in enrollment. This room and the faculty can help. And working together, we can make a real difference. A little quote to end with. And one more item. Thank you. Questions?
Any questions for Fred?
I'm Fred, just a question about nursing and
Yes.
how that impacts. Do you keep some separate statistics for that?
In our system, we have separate stats for the off-campus nursing programs. And the on-campus nursing is an on-campus program. We have the degree completion program still going off-campus, but it's being phased down, although there's more than 30 people currently enrolled in that. And eventually that's going to go away and need to be replaced with other numbers as well. Okay.
Nursing is still our biggest major.
Do we have any data for why the students chose the other schools, the other Ivy schools? Is it financial? Is it...
The question why someone doesn't come your way has to do with the idea we don't know what we don't know. It's really hard to parse out. It's really hard to get a sample or survey of people who didn't come to your campus. You don't have a contact point anymore. And the National Student Clearinghouse data is actually helping a lot of colleges get into some of that, but it's difficult to get into. ways between La Sierra, PUC, and Walla Walla. How we say it can make a real difference. How we package things can make a real difference for the family.
And we're working on that. We're working on our packaging and our messaging, and our tuition is really in between. La Sierra has a higher tuition, we're in the middle, and Walla Walla is under where we are. So we always try to picture ourselves about the middle. And this year we didn't raise tuition before, remember? So, but we're going to be working hard to change some things.
There was a question over here.
I'm not sure how you do your parent days. I know I went on a couple of college days with students.
Yes.
And the parents were actually a part of the process. And I don't quite see that here. And I think that for me, the difference came down to, I mean, I'm here, I work here, so. But
There's that.
There's that. But what was really pleasant about La Sierra as a parent was that they told them about their learning center process right there. And it's like, oh, wow, that's great. But I don't think we get that information out, because I talk to parents and they have no clue about what we really have to offer. And their kids have done college days. But because we don't package it for them to come also and to hear, because they're the ones who's doing the money, they're the ones who finally make the ultimate decision based upon what they like about what our school offers. And I think many parents really don't hear that because it's just not packaged as, you know.
You're making a really good point, and our April college days is aimed at families, and a lot of parents come to that one, but the other two major college days weekends are aimed at school groups, not at families, if you will. Any individual family that comes for a visit and makes an appointment and comes as a family during their child's spring break and that kind of thing, we give them a family, a parent experience. But you're right, the large group weekends tend to be structured around the young people, not the parents. Something to think about. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Craig. As you know, we've hired Jennifer Tyner as our new Vice President for Enrollment and PR. And she's already really on staff with us, but she's working from North Carolina until January. She was just there last week and then a few weeks earlier. So you'll be seeing her and hearing more from her. But we are working with the staff just to try to unpack a bit what happened this year. And as I said, how we can continue to do some more innovative things. I think what's happened is, looking at that graph, PUC did really well for 3 years, and the other schools said, wow, we have to be more competitive. And so I think our national competitors, to the south and the north, have just gotten more competitive. And so we have to keep ramping up our game too. And as Scott Calendar used to say, innovate, innovate, innovate. And I think that's the key, that we really have to keep innovating and keep getting our product to be the best product on the market, and then packaging how we sell that, as you said, Beverly, to our parents and to our students in the best possible way. Continuing to build those great linkages with our academies, which are our feeder schools, and also looking for new markets as well. So I think we're doing a number of things. I had lunch with Ronald Kraft, who is the new interim president of Napa Valley College, just a few weeks ago. They want to do an articulation agreement to get more students here from our local area. Dave played golf with the president of Santa Rosa Community College recently. They also want to have us to take some of their students. So with the passing of Prop 30, the community colleges aren't quite as desperate as perhaps they would have been, but they still really need support from the four-year institutions in their regions. And so we want to be responsive to helping also to serve our community in a very stronger way, and of course our constituent academies as well. So we're working hard on it. If you have ideas, let us know. We want to thank our wonderful enrollment staff for all the hard work that they have done and what they continue to do. But again, we're all ambassadors on behalf of PUC. So if you have ideas, or you want to go out there and do a science workshop, or give a lecture, or give a basketball clinic, or whatever you might want to do for the academies, let us know. We want you to help us to continue to build those wonderful relationships on behalf of Pacific Union College. Dave, tell us about the money